Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to this online virtual class on the physical pharmaceutics 2. So, in this week, we are discussing the small topic of the chapter rheology under this, the deformation of solids. So, yesterday we have seen some of the content, and today we are going to finish that the remaining content. So, to just rewind back what was happened till now. So we have seen the definition of the rheology, which is also applicable for the deformation of solids because it deals with the study of the deformation of solids as well. So we have seen the plastic and elastic deformations of the solids, the differentiation between these two, and also we have seen the stress strain definitions and the Young's module also with the stress strain graphs. This is the graph and these are the definitions which you have seen previous class also. So in yesterday's class, we have been discussing about the Haeckel's plot, and I also have said before seeing the Haeckel's plot, we should have a prior knowledge on the compression of the tablet and also various defects that has been occurred during the tablet compression process. And we are discussing this process of tablet compression, starting with the filling of the dye with the granules or the powders, followed by the upper punch compression, then followed by the lower punch ejection. And also we have seen various defects that has been associated with the tableting formulation and at the end of the product, and the reasons behind that also we have seen in the next slides, and also have seen the basic definitions of the compression process, and also have seen the physics of a compression and is explained by the statistical forces and dynamic forces. Then we have seen the general principles involved in the compression process, that is interaction among the particles and also interaction among the granules used. Then we have seen the factors affecting the compression, that is the how much speed you are using the compression force and how much time you are compressing the thing, and this leads to causes what kind of problems. So the remaining thing is okay. So next, the pending thing is the Haeckel's equations or the compression, which is explained by the Haeckel's equation. So what he says is generally these equations before to start. So there is a process to be understood by everyone is when a mechanical force is applied. This all again once again relates to the process of tablet compression. So when a force is applied on the powder bed externally to a powder mass during compression in the tablet punching machine, the bulk volume of the powder mass, that means we have determined the bulk volume using bulk density apparatus. As such, what is the volume of the powder, which is an original setup is called as a bulk volume. So the bulk volume of the powder mass is reduced, resulting in one or more of the following mechanism. So what happens is the first step is the rearrangement of particles. I'll show this all the steps in the next slide in the diagrammatic manner. Just remember the steps. First is the rearrangement of particles will happen when you compress, and the compression starts. Then packing of powders or granules will happen. Then two kinds of deformation have the chances depending upon the powder nature. It is maybe elastic or the plastic deformation. If you are further increasing the stress, they're going to be breakdown. That is called as brittle fracture. Just look into this diagram. So initially, this starts from here. Initially, the powders will be looking like this when you see in a measuring cylinder or wherever it was situated. That's this we are calling as basically this kind of situation is called as the bulk volume. The bulk volume of the powder, right? So it is having lot of spaces between them, and that's why the volume is more than any other volume like true volume, tapped volume, or whatever. So what happens is the moment you try to compress, see this process is nothing but what you're seeing here, which we've seen before. This is the bulk volume of the powder. The moment if you are compressing here, So what was happening is the explanation before starting of the Eccles plot. So the moment you give the compressional force, initially the first step what happens is the repacking. So repacking in the sense, these spaces, most of the spaces present between the powders is going to be escaped, and the powder will pack very tightly like this. The powder will be rearranged. Let us say simple logic I'll tell, as I said in the class also, when you're filling some powders in the houses also, when you tap it, when you compress it, what happens is this, their volume is going to be reduced. So what happened? So why they're reducing the volume is there are some internal adjustments happen between the wide spaces, and they will tightly pack with each other. So that step is called as packing of powders or granules, whatever it is. If you're using the powders for compression, it is the packing of powders. If you're using granules for compression, that is called packing of granules. So further you are applying, that means further increasing the pressure, further increasing the upper punch pressure, further you are just pressing the powders. So what will happen is you can see the round become flattened. These are nothing but powders which you are seeing before. So before they're like this, and when you give the punch, it becomes like a vowel shape. So what we've seen in the plastic and elastic deformation in the first slide. So when you compress something, they're going to be flattened. So here there are two kinds of process that has been occur. So the first one is when you remove this force back. Let us say this applied force, whatever you are doing here, let us say you have taken out. Now in this scenario, there are two kinds of situations. There are two kinds of process may going to happen when you remove the external force. When you remove the external force, okay, if the system, if the powder which is under pressing, if it is an elastic kind of powders, they will rebank to its original position called as is round particles, whatever you have seen in the before. This is the original position. They're going to be come back to their original position if it is elastic. No, there, if the powders which are taken for the tablet compression process, they are plastic, what happens is they are not going to retain back any of the position. They will remain as such. That means the flattened position. These are two things is going to happen. So again, I'm repeating, initially the powders will be packed like this. Initially, the powders will be packed like this as a loose forms. This is called as a bulk volume of the powders. When you apply an initial pressure, they're going to be repacked into the tight packings like this. So further, if you apply the compression force, they're going to be flattened. They're going to lose their structure, whatever present before. So when you remove back the compressional forces, there is two chances of two kinds of phenomena is going to occur. One is they will regain back to its original position as you are looking here, and another phenomenon is they are going to be made flattened. So further still you are applying, actually they didn't show here, further still stress you are applying here. There is no meaning of further applying because whatever the stress you are applying and remove back, they're going to the original positions, but here they're not regaining back to the original position. This is called as plastic bodies or plastic deformation. So if you apply further stress on this, they are going to be breaked or brittle. So that's why you could see once again here the steps which they given before. These steps, initially the rearrangement of particles is going to be happen, followed by packing of powders is going to be happen, then particle deformation is going to happen. That is again of two types. One is elastic type, another one is a plastic type, and the fourth one is brittle fraction of the particles if you further increase the compression. So these are the various steps that is going to be happen when you compress the tablet. So from this, Haeckel have derived three relationships during the compression process. The first one is applied force versus volume. So when you're applying the compression pressure, when you're applying the pressure, what happens to the volume of the powders? Next is when you're applying the force, what happens to the density of the powders, whether it's increasing, decreasing, or whatever it was happening. Similarly, the final one is initially there is a force, and when you repack also there is certain amount of force. It doesn't mean that, as I said before, you cannot completely avoid the force. Zero, that is called true powders or the true density, the true volume, you cannot make it. That's why in the practical also, if you could remember back, we have used the another method called as displacement method. So whatever the force you're applying, how much force it is there. As we know, all in the general basis, when you apply the force more and more, the porosity is going to be reduced. So here they explain the relation between the force and porosity relation. These are the actual Haeckel's graphs. We will see one by one what is happening. So just look into this graph. First one is force volume relationships. So it says about when the applied force is increases, what happens to the relative volume. You could see back, you have to understand this graph from the back. See here, the volume is more. Right? The volume is more. That means at the initial pressure, applied pressure, at the low pressures, just a minute. At low pressures, the volume is more. Yes. So the volume is around 3. because in this condition, the powders are in the initial repacking. These steps, once again, what we discussed before only, they're going to show here. Initially, the powders are packed in such a way that they are not compressed, but still the voids are there. That's why the volume is more. Now, you are increasing the pressure. So since this is a relationship between the applied force or applied pressure with the volume, when you're increasing the pressure, what happens is elastic or plastic deformation is going to happen. If it is elastic deformation, still the volume is more because the particles once again regain back to its original position. So obviously the volume is more. But if they undergo plastic deformation or fragmentation, they will have volume comparatively less than that of elastic deformation. So still the volume is reduced. Here how much volume? It's around 2. So further you are increasing, finally what happens is consolidated bonding. That is nothing but the final step of tablet preparation. Finally, the tablet is going to be compressed by forming some bonds at this highest pressure. When you're applying at this highest pressure, the volume is around 1.5. So this is what I want to explain is the relationship between the applied pressure and the volume. What happens to the volume? When you're increasing the pressure, what happens to the volume? That relationship, which is explained by the Haeckel's using the force volume relationship. Once again, remember, you see for all these graphs, 2-3 graphs which you're discussing now, don't think more logical about the equations plus alpha minus alpha, whatever it is. You understand the basic sense behind the graphs. If you're just simply by hearting the formulas here, there is no use of in any applications you're understanding from these graphs that what is the Excel's want really explain to you. So you just say, you remember for the force and volume relationship, as the applied pressure increases, the volume is going to be reduced. And what is the steps it is going to be reduced? He explained in this graph. That is the force volume relationship. Next, let us see force density relationship. So before seeing to this graph, you have to recall back our density calculations, what we have did. So density is equal to mass by volume. Okay, this we all know. So let us see a simple understanding. Initially, I have a powders. I have filled in the tablet punching machine. So this is the upper punch. For instance, please understand that think as upper punch. This is a lower punch. You are making the tablet. So what is the density of the tablet? Somebody asked you. What is the density of this tablet? So nothing but weight of the tablet. So let us assume the weight of the tablet is 50. Okay. And volume. Let us say once again assume the volume occupied is 50. Now, so what is the density is 1. Now the density of the tablet is 1. Am I right? Now you start giving more pressure to compress into a nice tablet. So you are further applying. Initially, this is maybe in the repacking conditions or something later, plastic condition, plastic deformation condition. Now still you further apply the pressure. You are applying the pressure. Now what happens is the size of the tablet is still going to be reduced. That is nothing but the volume is still going to be reduced compared to here. Just see these two relations. Compared to here the volume is still reduced. So now let us say once again somebody asked you, what is the density of this tablet now? You remember mass never changes, because when you're compressing, keep on compressing, because of the force that is going to be escaped, the tablet volume is reduced, but the powder or the mass which you added is remains same. So what happens is, as usual, the mass remains same, 50. Now let us say the volume is reduced to 40. Initially it is 50. Still you applied some kind of pressure. It is now 40. So now what is the density? (1.25). Yes, density is 1.25. So you observe in both the conditions, the mass remains same. Since you applied more and more pressure, the volume has got reduced, but the tablet length remains same. Now, so you understand this relation with this, the force and density. As the force increases, and this is directly proportional to the density. Yes or no? So here you could see it's a less force. Here you have applied more force. So when you're increasing the force, the density also increases. That is the force density relationship. As the applied pressure increases, the density of the tablet also increases. So that is the graph here it shows. As the pressure you are keep on increasing, the density of the tablet has been keep on increasing. So it differs as starch or the here they given two examples. Let us say starch having more density because maybe the powder having more bulk volume. Similarly, the dibasic calcium phosphate having maybe low density, but whatever the material it is, you could see there is a rise in the density. But the density value may change depending on the material which you are punching or which you are compressing. But as the pressure increases, the density is going to be increased. So once again, that has been given in the form of an equation. One has to be by heart this. So that is the force density relation. So finally come to the force porosity relation. So what happens is when you keep on punching, let us go back to this initial slide where we discussed. If you could see, so if you could see here, initially somebody asked here the comparison between the force in this situation, the comparison between the force in this situation, and the comparison between the force in this situation. We could easily tell that initial stages of the tablet compression, the powder is having more force. As the process proceeded, as the process progresses, the tablet force is going to be reduced because of the repacking, because of the compression or whatever it is. So as the tablet compression proceeds, the force is going to be reduced. That is a force porosity relations. So compressibility of the powder gives a tablet which is having when the compression is proceeding, the tablet volume is limited to 0 and the porosity becomes either completely low or sometimes near to, actually it's not 0, sometimes this is near to 0. So as the tablet compression proceeds, the porosity is going to be less or it is further proceeds to 0. So from the performance point of view of tablets, a small residual porosity is desirable. This you have to remember. See, since we you're punching a tablet, it doesn't mean that you can keep on pressing the tablet more and more, that you should avoid the pores. Always every tablet should have some kind of porosity. I'll tell you what is the reason is when the tablet goes inside the stomach and you are saying the process called disintegration, dissolution or whatever. So in order to occur the disintegration or dissolution, it should absorb some kind of water from outside environment. So since I'm saying absorption of water, let us take, you keep in your hand two substances. One is a sponge and another one is a plastic which is having no pores at all. You keep both in the a water. You could see a sponge immediately absorb the water which is present outside, whereas the plastic remains same. When you take out and see the plastic, the weight of the plastic will remain same, whereas the sponge is going to be increased. So because the sponge having porous nature, so since porous nature is there, it can able to absorb the water. Once water is absorbed by the tablet, it can able to disintegrate. That means it can able to break into pieces and it can able to release the drug. The drug is going to be absorbed. So let us imagine an ideal condition where the tablet doesn't have any pores. It cannot take any kind of water content inside the tablet, and tablet cannot able to break, and as such it is going to be excreted out. So that's what this says. From the performance point of view, performance is nothing but the tablet action, the tablet disintegration. A small desired pore is always necessary. You should not make a complete tablet. So since we know that we should maintain some amount of porosity, then he said there is no need to talk about the relationship between applied force and porosity, as we know that as the force increases, the porosity is going to be reduced, and also we have to maintain sufficient pore to have this relation. So this is the complete picture about the deformation of solids. And this, if you could also even read this presentation, which I have already uploaded to the JSS online, also more than enough if you can't able to cope up with the textbook for this deformation of solids alone. So hope you have understood completely this deformation of solids without any doubts. So I request now, if you could have any doubts, we have another 5 minutes of time. Kindly put it in the chat box. I'm very happy to address the same. department also we are having an instrument called differential scanning calorimeter. So in that what we will do is we will keep this mixture into that machine and we'll subject to higher temperatures up to 400 degrees centigrade. Then we'll check it, is there any kind of interactions between them? If for suppose there is an interaction, we will try to either remove one or either of the excipients, we'll try to change with other excipients. So at this condition itself, if there is no compatibility issues or there is no problem, then when this tablet compression proceeds, it shows that there is no kind of compatibility problems will happen. And second thing is, and again, it's my personal experience, when the tablet is compressed, there is no generation of heat because it will all happen in a seconds of maybe in the seconds of 2 to 3 seconds, it is going to be punched and come back, and there is no generation of heat. Maybe if really a generation of heat, maybe it may be a chances of there is a deformation of solids problem involved. But as such, my knowledge goes as the temperature will be maintained constantly, and also there is no such kind of temperature is going the temperature is going to be generated, the heat is going to be generated during the tablet compression process. And thank you for the question. Any other question? Will tablet defect indicate the bad quality of excipients or contamination? No, it is not contamination. There is no question of in the, especially if you take the tablets is concerned, the microbiological attributes. When we talk about drug stability, we have said one of the properties called microbiological attributes, which is almost zero when concerned with the tablets because there is no solvent you are using. Yes, the excipient used and also secondary, the excipients also is not a major concern. The speed you are using, the time you are using, the hardness of the tablet, or whatever other reasons which is related during the compression will affect the defects in the tablet, but not neither the excipients much. But excipients, of course, excipients also will involve, but not the extent as we are discussing with the tablet compression. But contamination, if there is no chance of with the defects, the main reasons is that during the tablet compression process, the process will affect the defects, and also some extent the excipients which are used in the tablet compression process will influence the defects. And remember, when you are going to third year industrial pharmacy, this tablet defects you are having another a small chapter there. They have better explanations for these defects in tablet manufacturing. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? No more questions?